issues. So where we left off, we were talking about the time, like the gen lock, and how different cameras can, you know, basically sync up using the same time code, so it's easier to sync them up later and switch from one camera to the other and all that. All right, that was the old stuff, and these were images of that. And this was kind of like a roadmap as to where are we, you know, as far as going through this entire chapter. And yes, it is a long chapter, but it's very informative. So I believe after that we were on the performance videos. So now with performance videos, these are videos that are shown, how can I put it? Think of like a play or maybe a pageant. It's on location. Usually there's more than one camera covering it, and it's presented and people see it later. So yeah, or maybe a recital or an award ceremony. Oscars, definitely, you know, like entertainment purpose. Now, historical purpose with this type of video, for a performance video, is usually if you've seen maybe like a football, I think usually maybe it's the equipment manager at some football games. They're just basically high above, you know, the stands, bleachers, and they're shooting, and it's just a static, you know, a static shot. It's basically for later, for future reference. So just a historical archive, or maybe just check on the progress of something. Okay, with these performance videos. Oh, we talked about the switchable camera. Oh yeah, yeah, they can be switchable camera shoot or isolated camera field shoot. So we've talked about that. Switchable camera, that's where you're running lines from the cameras to the switcher and using a switcher to punch up one shot, you know, or another. Or isolated, where you still have, you know, multiple cameras, but they're all recording to their own SD card or whatever, and you can edit it later. Now, the way that is most likely going to be done is with the switchable camera field shoot, so that way you don't have to spend as much time editing it. But anyway, now with the historical archive video, yeah, coaches, directors, choreographers. The reason why, well, I'll go over through these one at a time, and peers, choreographers is first. So for choreographers, usually they want to see if the dancers are getting the routines, if they're moving in unison. Also, directors, maybe staging. Maybe they'll see staging is when during a play you see it's not just the person saying the lines, but it's also moving around an environment. So do they have enough time to say their lines before they get from this couch to this door? Maybe the door needs to be moved back a little bit, or maybe because of some type of lighting restriction, if they do stop at this particular point, they won't be well lit. So it helps them see, yeah, basically help them evaluate what they've got, so and adjust. Usually it's with a one camera style. It's not an elaborate thing, just because you're not trying to, you know, sell it and show it to people. It's basically for you and whoever is going to be involved in that production. So some things to make, you know, some guidelines for that are making sure that the entire stage is visible, because you want to be able to see, you know, everything. Also, you don't want to have anything where the shots are very close, because they can quickly, you know, if you're following one person, they may move out of frame doing some type of quick run and jump thing. Also, with your wide shot, and this is just pretty much true in most cases when you're shooting, try not to have the overhead lighting ever be visible. Okay, there's a few shows where they may have something like that. I think was it Superstore on NBC? Not plugging them, but I think I've seen the overhead lights in that Walmart type look. But in most shows, just because it just throws off the exposure and the colors of what you're trying to do. So yeah, because usually the iris may close up, or some other stuff. But anyway, don't show the stage lights. Okay, it's kind of like, imagine somebody showing a bright flashlight in your face. Will you be able to see as well with a light shining in your face? No, and your eyes are more complex than, you know, whatever camera. So for coaches, the feedback that they get is player performance. Okay, maybe we started working on more endurance type stuff, and let's see if they're able to, you know, endure longer during practice or a game or whatever. Also, practice is just saying how are they doing in practice? Are they just going through the motions, or are they really pushing themselves? Injuries. So in the case of an injury, the person, you know, they say they're okay, but how are they doing on a day-to-day? Are they kind of favoring one side or the other because of, you know, whatever, even though when we talk to them they say they're fine. Also for a highlight show, so a lot of times when you have, say, college football, you know, you can take the Razorbacks for example. There's usually some type of highlight show, usually maybe like a pre-game show, post-game show, whatever, where they'll use some footage from practice to talk about, oh yeah, such and such could be, you know, moving up and, you know, to second string this week, or blah 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 blah. They've been doing great in practice, and they may show footage of, you know, this person, I don't know, running a play in practice. So also for opponents, so it's actually and I want to misspeak, but I'm pretty certain it's actually an NCAA rule that you have to provide, I forgot the name of the footage to your opponents, so that they can see maybe like a game or something, I guess to help strategize. So yeah, and since that's actually, yeah, it's actually, I'm 99% certain that that's an actual rule, that they have to actually provide footage. But yeah, you can use that historical archive just to see, okay, maybe what kind of plays do they have, what kind of tendencies do they have. Anyway, get information about your opponents. Now, the style is very basic. So it's for historical, this type of stuff is just kind of like a big wide shot. Okay. Now, when we talk about sports in the sense of competition coverage, that is a totally different thing. So that is when you've got, you know, the I don't know, the NFL on Fox or Monday Night Football or whatever. With competition coverage, that's when you have all the cameras, all the angles. You're hearing, you're seeing parabolic dishes pointed at, you know, players, and hearing the clashing of the shoulder pads, and yeah. So with competition coverage, that's when you're actually shooting the game. That's the thing that you see, you know, during I don't want to say the Super Bowl, but that's what you see on TV when you watch a game. Now, for the features, that's not, doesn't take nearly as much production, okay? This is for the sport highlight shows. Now, for those sport highlight shows, they'll have stuff like, some of the historical archive, but they'll have a mix of shots. Going a little bit more into that in just a moment, but for the competition coverage, yeah, I kind of talked about this a little bit, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in detail. So, where was I? Yeah, live coverage usually. Now, also, the coverage is also used in a highlight show. So they'll take some of those key plays in the highlight show, which of course has permission to use the footage. I'll talk about, this is where the game changed or whatever. Now, the setup for this, a lot of cameras, like 7 is that's a pretty basic number. That's not just a crazy number of cameras, say, for football. Now, depending on the location, truck with camera control, or you may have robotic cameras built into the stadium. Switcher, yeah, you're not shooting this and then editing it later. No, it's all basically it's live, you know. Of course, miles of cable, because sometimes stuff needs to be hardlined. And when I say hardline, actually running a cable all the way up until the very top of the building to all the way on the sideline. They're using cable as well. The whole wireless transfer stuff, that's not going to work in moments where you need it that quick. Okay, I don't care how fast AirDrop is, it can't compete with just 400 feet of cable. So anyway, or 100 feet of cable, whatever. All right, so this is a very simplified example of where the cameras may be set up. Excuse me. So some of these, well, this is just one end zone camera. So like say if you're say for a kicking a field goal, perfect angle for that. Also, if they're trying to get into the end zone, you may use this camera, or there may be another camera on the opposite end. The 50-yard line shot, very often used. Now you do have two other cameras that also can get footage. You got the sideline cameras. You've got the camera getting the other team, since one team is on this side, one team is on the other side, so you want to get their bench. So yeah, for having, let's see, did I even mention the sideline? I don't know if I mentioned the sideline camera, but yeah, it can add up pretty quickly. So I don't know, maybe crowd, maybe just shots of the crowd. There's anyway, there's a lot of cameras that can go into just a football game. Let's see. Oh, now for the feature coverage, let's see, how am I doing on time? Okay, so for the feature coverage, much smaller budget. Okay, you don't need a team of people for feature coverage. You don't have to worry about all the cable and yeah, it's a lot less. Okay, matter of fact, usually for feature coverage, yeah, about maybe you can probably get it done with about 2 people. So anyway, that's very small, but yeah, it can be done. Now, with the feature coverage, works on a much smaller budget, less resources, so you have access to some of the footage from the competition, so that helps you. You get their stuff without having to be the one who was out there for 4 hours or so for the event. Also, the feature coverage gets things like footage from previous games, also interviews with the players or footage of future opponents. So it's taking all those things and to talk about what they're going to do, maybe something that happened significant in the game, or what's coming up. So they combine all those things. So there's more than just the play-by-play of the game. Let's see. With it, you don't need as many cameras. So if you have, depending on what type of permission the person, the show has, or the station or the channel has, they may be there getting their own footage with their own cameras, and just zipping back, so that way they don't have to spend a lot of time trying to get footage from borrowing footage from people. So anyway, yeah, this type of feature coverage is very common to college teams. So yeah, I think there's a there's like usually like a Razorback pregame show. I can't remember if it used to be every Saturday, but yeah, it's very common with schools that have a a very popular sports program. Hold on. Very well supported sports program. Yeah. Let's move. I'm just trying to get this thing changed. Okay. So, yeah, if you were just going to do this with just 2 cameras, yeah, one 50-yard line above the action, that's going to be the most used shot, and then another one on the sideline, and maybe just picking off, shots of, maybe coach talking to the bench, or, a tighter shot of maybe some particular play. So really, yeah, just another angle, and also maybe just something you can cut to. But yeah, it's yeah, just have the difference between shooting with 1 camera and shooting with 2 cameras is night and day. So having B-roll, having just another shot option can help you. Say if you need to, let's say that 50-yard line camera, the battery's dying. Okay, say it has a battery and it's about to die. Well, guess what? During the time it takes to change out that battery, some significant play could occur. But if you have a second camera on the sideline, you can say, hey, buddy, go ahead and record this next 2 plays while I switch out the battery. And guess what? If something happens, you may not have an aerial perfect view of it, but you have something, and yeah, that makes a big difference between, it could be the play of the game, So having 2 cameras makes a huge difference when trying to do feature coverage, or when trying to do a lot of different things. Having another shot option will be very helpful. So, and that's more than just a sports coverage tip. So, with the feature coverage, interview with the athlete, or someone who's involved with the sport. I mean, not the sport, the team. Yeah, preparation is I'm basically teaching you guys how to do a show. Preparation of them preparing for the upcoming thing. Shots of the actual game. Maybe shots of what they did well in the past that could maybe bring into the future situation. All this stuff, you can just shoot that with 1 camera. So you don't have to have a team of people getting a whole bunch of angles. You could just be basically a bunch of phone calls to get footage, or maybe just saying, hey, could I use some of this footage of this particular thing in this particular moment. So it's a lot easier than the 7 camera shoot. So with sports, there are some universal sports shooting rules. Pay attention to this. This used to be one of our shoots used to be a sports shoot, but I don't think that's going to happen this semester. But this would be a key point. Well, okay, you have to remember the universal sports shooting rules, because you're going to be doing this, in a couple of weeks. But the way things are now, I don't know. But still pay attention. This is going to be useful. So universal sports shooting rules. Get above and in the middle of the action. Basically, you want to get that shot where you're at the 50-yard line, half court, center, whatever you call it for whatever sport that has a center. And yeah, so you can just basically see offense, defense, whatever. Okay. Where was I? Of course, follow the ball, follow the car, follow the whatever it is that people are hitting back to each other or trying to take from each other. Follow it. Okay. Also, you don't want to have your shots too tight. You want to frame loosely, because you can get faked out, or maybe they'll do something where the ball will travel really fast and you may miss it. So in the past, we used to do soccer in this class, and yeah, when they kick the ball, if you try and get a nice close-up shot, when you see them getting ready to take a big kick, like say they're inbounding or something from the corner or wherever, yeah, you want to have a wide shot for that. You don't want like a 2-shot at that point. So anyway, yeah, you want to frame loosely so that you don't get faked out. So that's it for sports. Let's see. I think I'll go to one of my first commercial samples, and then I may call it a day because I want to make sure that my audio works for what I've got coming up. So commercials. So many stations survive off commercials unless they're like a publicly funded thing, like say PBS. So anyway, or UAPB, where can't even actually charge for commercials because it's against regulations. But anyway, educational, public broadcasting, rely on commercials. So also non-premium cable like ESPN, CNN, MTV, USA, also rely on commercials. So this isn't in the textbook, but now they're gonna have to start putting stuff like Hulu, survives on commercials. But anyway, so with commercials, it can be, I say commercials are probably one of the most creative forms of using video, because they can be any format. They can you can take something that you like and be like, oh, that inspires me, and I'll take that into this commercial, whether it's a music video, zombie apocalypse, romantic comedy. It can find its way into a commercial. So drama, yeah. So what was that? So now something that does affect the commercials are the budget, of course. So if you don't have the money for the 7-camera skydiving shoot, then that you're gonna have to change. You have to change what your commercials about. You're gonna have to change your approach or your idea for that. Also, I was being a little extreme there, but even if it's just say a crane, okay, you want some car dealership wants maybe not a drone footage, but just a crane, maybe I don't know, something like 50 feet off the ground view of their business. But if they don't have the money for that, you're gonna have to go with something else. So maybe that's when you see, hey, how much does a drone cost, and what does that look like? You got to make an adjustment. Market size. Now, depending on, not everywhere you can get the same level and quality commercials. Like in Pine Bluff, you're not going to get, if you hire some videographer in Pine Bluff, you're probably not going to get the same quality that you would, say, if you hire somebody from, I don't know, Memphis. Okay, it's just a bigger market, more competitive, maybe more resources, maybe also sometimes just the location can affect maybe what they're familiar with giving permits for. If you need a street shut down to shoot something, guess what? If you're dealing with a place that has never done that before, and it has to be like a main thoroughfare, that just may not happen. They'll be like, oh, we don't know how to do that. Now, if you do some guerrilla tactics where you sneaking out and all that kind of stuff, don't look at me. But if you're going to a bigger city, there's like, oh yeah, you'll talk with Joan over in, I don't know, city planning or something, and they'll tell you, what you need to do and how we can block off this street at this particular time so that you can shoot your whatever. Okay. Excuse me. Say being anywhere near somewhat prominent film industry, that bleeds over. So into, say commercials. So that market size, or basically market size and where you are, can affect the type, level, and quality of commercial that you get. Now, there are diamonds in the rough, that is true. But just generally speaking, it does affect, your commercial, your type of product. I'm pointing in the right direction? Yeah. So, for the type of product, if you're selling, I don't know, life insurance, then you might want to, comedy may not be the way to go, okay? If you're selling, I don't know, Chuck E. Cheese, then it may not want to be a serious, dramatic thing that makes people cry, you know. So that style can be affected by the type of project. And finally, I'm gonna play this video, and one, I'm just gonna make sure that it works well, and if it doesn't, I'll be stopping, and we'll pick it up for next time, and if it does, then I'll know for next time. So one of the things that that I was am gonna do with this commercial is I'm gonna show you a commercial, and then later on we're gonna go over some formats, some commercial formats, and I want you to try to identify what format or formats or format does this video, qualify. How can you categorize it? So I'll just go ahead and play it, and then after that, I think we'll call it a day, or whatever you want to call this. All right, and I already popped it up, so let's. And all right. Sorry, it takes a second to get everything queued up and all that. So, and I'll turn off my mic, and if the volume's too loud, I apologize. I have to mute my other stuff, so I know that it's playing, but I don't know like if the levels are good. So anyway, here we go.
To hear with you, young lady.
Why do you insist on treating me like an adult?
Because you insist on acting like one. Now you're getting this new phone.
But it's so small. I really like it. Why is it always what I want?
Well, do you have any idea how much money this is not going to cost me?
I love you.
I know you really mean that.
You never hated me, and you never will.
You are the most grateful little...
Singular is changing the conversation about cell phones. Introducing the newest Go phone. Pick your plan or pay as you go, and get all you need to make